A long legal battle over congressional maps in Alabama came to a conclusion yesterday as a federal court ordered the state to adopt a new map. That new map set to go into effect ahead of the 2024 election. And it creates a second district in the state where black voters represent a substantial portion of the electorate. Black voters in Alabama have long been gerrymandered into a single district, the only Democratic-led district in the state. I'm joined now by Marina Jenkins, Executive Director for the National Democratic Redistricting Committee. Marina, thanks so much for joining us here on Meet the Press Now. Bring us up to speed and break down what this new congressional map means for Alabama and national politics ahead of 2024, because this has big implications.
It's incredibly exciting. We're so proud to have been part of this effort and this fight. You know, the court's choice of a map yesterday means that going forward for the rest of this decade, Alabama voters, black Alabama voters, will have, as you noted, the opportunity to elect a candidate of their choice in two districts and instead of just one. And so in Alabama, as across the country, what this means is that the representation of that state will actually more accurately reflect the people themselves.
And put it in a historical context for us. How would this affect how big of a win is this for black residents in Alabama?
It's huge. The state of Alabama has never expanded the franchise through redistricting to black voters without a court order. The first one came in 1992, and the second one, we just got the new map yesterday.
And this is a win that you've been fighting for, right? This is how long have you been fighting for this?
Our organization was founded in 2017, and this was one of the first projects that we started working on. We filed a lawsuit in 2018. It was a bit late in the cycle to achieve a new map at that point in time, and when the new map was drawn in 2021, keeping the status quo, the dilution of black voters, we filed another lawsuit and found quick success. The Supreme Court, unfortunately, stopped us in our tracks last year. So it's been a really exciting summer.
And explain that. This was not allowed to go into effect, obviously, for 2022.
That's right.
So, and how big of a surprise was this overall?
You know, it was a surprise not because there was any question about whether or not we were right on the law with the facts that we had in Alabama. The surprise was that the Supreme Court actually applied the law as it exists, and as it has existed for decades, which is something, now is a little bit uncertain with this court.
How does the legal fight around this, play out nationwide? And talk to me about where we are in this country when it comes to redistricting and gerrymandering and how that has led to the moment where we are right now with the chaos on Capitol Hill. This has been a long time coming, really, for decades, right?
Absolutely. We're in an era of perpetual redistricting. We haven't had the same congressional national map since 2014. Following the extreme gerrymanders of the 2011 redistricting cycle, this has had to be a real battle. And so these fights have been ongoing. There are still many cases ongoing. So I think the national map is still set to change ahead of 24.
What do you think is the next biggest fight for you?
There are cases ongoing in Louisiana, in Georgia, in Florida, in Texas, Utah, New Mexico, Kentucky, just to name a few.
Just to name a few. So you have a lot on your hands. And what is next, though, in terms of, what's the next big fight that you expect to take on?
I think we'll see a decision from the trial court in Georgia by the end of this month. The remedial map process is moving in Louisiana. It'll look very similar to what we're seeing in Alabama. So we keep fighting. We're seeing a little bit more of the same in the short term and hopefully get lots of new maps coming up.
What's the biggest argument that you have been hearing from Republicans on why this should not happen?
One argument they have been making, and they made in their Supreme Court argument last year, was that it's inappropriate, basically. The enforcement of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act is somehow inappropriate because it looks at and considers race. And the U.S. Supreme Court this spring just flatly rejected that argument.
Okay. Well, Marina, thank you so much for joining us here. Marina Jenkins, we appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.